These things are going to speed up the way that you make music and allow you to just get those ideas and get into that creative flow and get more tracks done. Hey guys, Dilby here. Welcome back to my channel. I'm here today in my studio in Berlin, and what I've got for you is a workflow video. This is my top tips on how to make more music faster. These are things that I've learned along my production journey that help me to get my ideas into my DAW and finish tracks as quickly as I possibly can. So when I started filming this, I realized it was getting a bit too long. So what I've done is separate it into 2 videos, each with 5 workflow tips. The second part is going to drop on this channel in a couple of weeks, so keep a lookout for that. Also, I've got to say, make sure that you're subscribed, hit the notification bell, leave a like on the video, and make sure you comment as well. You know how it helps the YouTube algorithm, and that's going to let more people check out the content and find my channel. So I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot. Now let's just get into the video. Alright, so tip number 1 is to use a template. What this is going to do is save you a bunch of time so you don't have to repeat things in every project. You can do this in any DAW. I'm going to show you in Ableton because that's what I use. I've actually done a full walkthrough of my template from start to finish in another video, so I'll link that in the description below. Let's just jump into Ableton now and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Here we are inside Live, and this is my default template. I've got groups for my drums, one for bass, melodic elements, vocals and effects. I've got a bunch of different return channels, which I've got reverbs, delays, some widening and a parallel compression for my kick. I've got some buses for my drums and my kick and bass. And this is just how I like it. You know, I would not necessarily recommend copying mine. However you like to work, you base it on the things that you do, that you know you do every time in a new project. So the way that you implement this is opening your preferences, and then you go to the File Folder tab, and then hit this Save Current Set as Default, hit Save. It'll give you a prompt here. Do you want to overwrite the current set? Hit OK. And then that will be what loads up every time you open Live. Tip number 2 is to sort your samples by key and BPM. I'm going to show you the software that I use to analyze and rename all of my samples, and this allows me to search easily for samples that are in the same key as my track. Let's jump in and I'll show you more. Alright, so this is mixed in key. It's super easy to use. You just drag and drop files from your desktop in and it will analyze them. It's pretty accurate. I've been using it for years and it's definitely gotten better. I use it for my DJ music. DJ software like Rekordbox and Traktor does the same thing, but they don't rename the files, and that's what we really want here. So we've got some settings here. Go to rename files and you can select the way that it renames files. This is really handy to put it with the original file name, key and then tempo. That's going to allow us to search for files that are in a specific key in Ableton Live. So in Live, I know the project that I'm working on here is in G sharp minor, which is the code 1A for mixed in key. So anything that I've analyzed and is in that key, it's going to have renamed it with 1A in the file name. This is the track. So the way that we use this is, let's say for example we want to add in a different vocal. So we'd come down to my vocals folder, we would type 1A, and it's going to filter everything based on files that have 1A in the name. So we click on here, we can see that all of these are going to work harmonically with our track. You can also do the same thing for melodic sounds. So for example, you could you can analyze all of your synth loops or your bass loops, etc. And then you can search the same way, and it just saves all that time and all that guessing of wondering whether something's going to work in your track harmonically. Tip number 3 is a technique that I use to quickly audition different ideas during the writing and arrangement process. Let's jump into Ableton and I'll quickly show you how this works. So this is a super quick one, and it's just based on a shortcut key, which is super helpful. And it's basically just pressing 0 to activate and deactivate clips and MIDI notes. So let's say, for example, we were working on this project and we want to experiment with different options for the bass line. And let's say we didn't think that this note was working, but we weren't entirely sure, so we didn't want to delete it. We just press 0 to deactivate it. But we do want it, so we press 0 to reactivate it. You can also do this with clips. So for example, we've got this little break here. So let's say we want all of these hat elements to come out, but we're not sure, we don't want to delete it, so we just want to give it a try, right? So we go here, we go Command E to cut the clips, and then 0 to deactivate them. Sounds good. But if we kind of maybe later down the track decide that that's not how we want it, we can always just select them, hit 0, turn it back on. Tip number 4 is about using color coding in your project to help you to stay organized and allow you to quickly identify different elements and different sections visually. So the next tip I've got for you is about color coding. You can see here that my template is all color-coded with these groups: red for drums, blue for bass, etc., etc. And this just allows me to have like visual cues about what things are and to be able to find things easily when everything's open and the project is starting to get really big. If I open all of these up, when I scroll through, I can easily see these are all drum elements, bass, etc., etc. So I can instantly see that this is a vocal and that there are two different sections here.
Oh Lord, he's got a hold on me.
So that just allows me to differentiate between these visually and know which one is which. So another thing I like to do is in my arrangement I will have sections where my kick drum is filtered out, and I use a low cut filter which I've got in a rack. So I draw in the automation to turn the rack on, but when I look at the project, if this automation wasn't selected, I wouldn't know that that section was there. So what I would do is select it, chop it with Command E, and color it to be light pink. Now I can easily see that in my project and see that this is going to be like a break or something. Tip number 5 follows on from tip number 4, and it's using track markers within your project, within your arrangement, to help you stay organized and identify different sections throughout the timeline. So my next tip is kind of following on from this color coding one, and it's using track markers to organize your arrangement. So for example, I know now that I've got a break here, but when I'm working down further in my project, I can't see that visual reference with the pink for the kick, filtered kick. So what I would do is click here, click this set button, which puts a marker in. I click at the end of the break, I hit the set button again, I've got two markers. I right click, rename them, and we'll call this one break, and we'll rename this one to drop. Now, everywhere I am in the arrangement vertically, I can always see that there's a break and a drop there. It also, when the track gets longer, 5, 6, 7 minutes, it allows me to kind of quickly look through and see an overview of the arrangement and all of the different sections in the track. Okay, so I've got a bonus tip for you, which is to print a high-quality WAV file pre-master every time you finish a project. Take everything off the master, compression, etc., and print a file like you would to send to a label for mastering. The reason you do this is in case something happens to your project and you can't reopen it. I've had this situation where I basically learnt this the hard way. I sent a demo to a label. They wanted to sign the track. I asked for a file for mastering. I went back to the project to export it, and something had corrupted. I couldn't open it. Trust me, you don't want to be in this situation, so it's better to be safe than sorry. Export that pre-master every time. So hopefully you found that helpful, guys, and you learned something there. You know, my goal with this channel is just to share some of the knowledge that I've learned along the way and get you guys making more music faster. Make sure you hit like on the video and be sure to comment below any other topics that you'd like me to cover in future videos. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram. It's @DilbyDJ, and there's a link in the description so you can click through there. I keep it up to date very regularly, and you can find out everything that's going on with me, my release schedule, all that good stuff. Don't forget, part 2 of this video is coming soon, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn the notification bell on. That way YouTube's going to let you know when that drops. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Great to have you here on the channel. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace.